Welcome to the e-agriculture presentation on experience, capitalization, and good practices. This presentation is organized in the framework of the second call for good and promising practices on the use of ICTs for agriculture. And this time we will be focusing on the region of Europe and Central Asia. The objectives of this recording are to inform participants about the call for good and promising practices on the use of ICTs for agriculture, to provide participants with the necessary methodology and tools to be able to participate in the call, and to give an introduction to experience capitalization and the free online course. Today we have with us Sophie Treinen. Sophie Treinen is an information and knowledge management officer, and she has been working for 16 years in FAO headquarters. She was the coordinator of the e-learning course on experience capitalization for continuous learning. Now she is working for the regional office of FAO for Europe and Central Asia, where she continues her mandate on good practices and e-agriculture. Welcome, Sophie.
Thank you.
And I give you the floor for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Alice. The overview of this presentation is in twofold. The first one will be on experience capitalization, and the second one on the good and promising practices, as well as the template that we are using for this call. So let's start with experience capitalization. We start with a moment of reflection. Have you taken the time to reflect on what you're doing? So, for example, did your activities go according to plan? What happened? What did you see, hear, or do? Did you learn something from it? Something that you didn't know before? And did you share what you learned with others? So this is important because this will enable to see how you share with others and how you learn about what you're doing. So now let's see the definition of experience capitalization. As you can see, experience capitalization is a systematic, iterative, and participatory process through which an experience is analyzed and documented. This creates knowledge, which can be shared and used to generate change. So let's focus a little bit the attention on what is highlighted in bold. So when we are talking about experience, we are talking about what is happening to people. And experience can be projects, but it could be also relationship, it can be cross-cutting theme, it can be the experience of a community, so it's very large. When we are talking about capitalization, we are talking about the knowledge capital. So it's important to see the experience that you gain, what have you learned, and what is the knowledge that you have gained with this learning. When we're using the term systematic, it's because we are doing it in a methodical way. Iterative, it's because you can actually start something, stop it, go back to the previous steps, go to the next steps, come back, and sometimes you have to do things again and again and again. So it's iterative. Participatory, because it's important to involve different stakeholders. People have different views, different opinions, and it's important to look at the different perspectives. That's why it's quite important to have a participatory process. And to have a participatory process, you need to have facilitation. You need to facilitate this participatory process. And then when we are talking about generating change, we are trying to see what can be improved and also what can we do with what we have learned. So we can actually scale it up and share it with others. At the bottom of the screen, you see three words: systématisation, capitalisation d'expérience, process documentation. These three words are actually what is being used in different languages. So systematization is something that is being used in Latin America and in the Spanish-speaking world. That's the way they have used, and they have been doing this for many years. In French, they say capitalisation d'expérience, and we have used that in English for experience capitalization, because you're capitalizing on the experience. But in English, there are other terms, such as process documentation or lessons learning. So there are different ways, but we like experience capitalization because it shows all the different phases that you can have in the process. So we will go through that now in the presentation. So why do we do experience capitalization? What are the benefits? So we do these because we have highlighted 6 benefits: increase learning, avoid knowledge loss, increase efficiency and effectiveness, generate change, build team and network, and the last one is to advocate and inform policy. So now let's go a little bit into this. And we will look at as benefits from individuals. So what can we gain out of it as individual? So the process of experience capitalization will be powerful because it will enable us to critically analyze our experience, to understand and learn through our success, but also our failures. And we will be able to document and share our knowledge with others. And so we are developing our capacity of the knowledge capacity. So this way we are able to actually be prepared to changing situations. And this will offer a better job satisfaction. So now let's look at how this experience capitalization benefits the institutions. So for the institutions, it avoids reinventing the wheel, because you will take into account what has been done in the past, because you have done this capitalization exercise. You will learn about innovation and promising or good practices, because you will identify what could be interesting to invest in as promising practice to become a good practice. And also, having done all that exercise, you reach a greater organizational visibility, credibility, and impact. And this is how you will be able to actually inform policy and do more and better advocacy. We are using experience capitalization also for the Sustainable Development Goals. Why and how we can do that? If we are using experience capitalization, we will be able to generate knowledge from within our work and experience. We will be able to design more effective intervention and work practice, and the adoption, adaptation, and scaling up of innovation and good practices will lead to greater impact. And this will be possible because we will look at what is the situation now, to see where we want to go, and because we will actually capitalize on the experience, we will be able also to see the changes and see what is the impact that we are going to have in the future. So in order to help us doing this, we have been developing an e-learning course with many partners. And this e-learning course is available in the e-learning center of FAO. And you have the link, which is over there. And what you see there is actually the image of the course once you have registered with your name and your password, and then you can even download the whole course if you wish to do it on your machine without being online. So who is this course intended for? We have selected a great variety of experts, professionals, who could directly benefit from this course, and whether they are from development organizations such as donor agency, multilaterals, NGO, research institutes, civil society organization, or national and local governments. And we have looked at different type of profiles of people who could benefit from it. And in the course, we have selected 5 characters representing different continents. And each character has a certain function. So for example, the first one is a team leader, a manager, coming from the Near East. This person is actually is coming on board because a colleague has retired, and she would like to know what has been achieved in the past to see how she has to reorient the future program. And she is thinking of using experience capitalization to build also a greater team spirit. So it's a team building exercise. The second character is someone from Africa, and he is representing technical staff. So this person is actually having credit scheme, and it works very well in an international organization. And he would like to share this technical expertise with the neighboring countries. So he's going to use experience capitalization to be able to document the know-how, the way they have been implementing this credit scheme in his country, in order to have the neighboring countries being able to do something similar but adapted to their own context. Then the third character is coming from Latin America. This is a person who is the head of a network on monitoring and evaluation. She is working on the theory of change, and she would like to use experience capitalization in order to have theory of change being implemented within the network. The fourth character is coming from Asia. This person is a communication and information professional. He believes that if experience capitalization is being implemented in his organization, it will enable him to have better quality products and will be able to have the information on time coming from the different colleagues. So having a joint effort and capitalizing together, he will be able to also work better, advocate better, and have greater visibility for his NGO. The last character is coming from Europe, and this person is in charge of knowledge management and knowledge sharing. She believes that in using experience capitalization, she will be able to show the added value of knowledge sharing and the importance of doing this every day within the work of the organization. So now that you have seen who could benefit from this course, this is the process. And you see that you have a white circle or a round, which is facilitate. I mentioned that This is a participatory process, reason for which facilitation is something important. And in the core, you have the three different colors, which represent the three different phases. The first one is prepare, the second is implement, and the third one is generate change. And in the next slides, I'm going to show you the course, the units, and you will see that each unit is actually following the experience capitalization cycle. So in the course, we have 13 lessons, which are regrouped in 5 units. The first unit is really the introduction, and the learner will understand what is the experience capitalization methodology, why it is important, and what it is really. So you see there, we have the description of the 5 characters that I've just presented. You see the cycle, and you see also how this word has been used in different parts of the world. The second unit is the unit that focuses on facilitation. So what is facilitation? What are the techniques and the methods that can be useful when you're doing experience capitalization? And also, this unit will focus on how it can help achieve the objective of the experience capitalization process. And what is very nice in this unit, we have a kind of toolkit with the different methods which are explained for the different steps of experience capitalization. So people can go back and decide what will be the best method or tool that they will use during the experience capitalization process. The third unit is the unit that focuses on the preparation. So how do you prepare? So the first lesson will be on how you frame, and the second one on how you plan. And you see in the picture there, you have how to frame. It's what for, who for, what are you going to focus on, with whom, and when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. So that's a very important starting point, is how you frame and how you plan your experience capitalization process. The fourth unit is actually the core of the whole course, because it is the implementation. And the implementation phase is divided in 4 different steps. These 4 steps are gathering and organization the inputs, which are actually the information, the data, the knowledge that you're going to gather and acquire. Then how you're going to analyze all what you have gathered. Then how you're going to document what you have analyzed, and how you're going to share what you have documented. And in this unit, we are also giving a toolkit with the different products that are available, going from written material to audio material, video material, or online information. The next unit, Unit 5, is the one on generating change. So in this unit, we will actually look at the next steps beyond experience capitalization process, how experience capitalization can generate positive changes through adoption, adaptation, and scaling up, and how the experience methodology can be mainstream within the organization. So on one side, you have for how you can improve what you have been doing, how others can adopt what you have been learning from your experience and adapt it to their own context, and how this experience from, for example, a local level can go national. National can actually be more regional, regional being more international. but it could be also that you're going to have this being integrated in a sector. And mainstreaming means that it's how can you improve what you are doing within your organization so that it becomes something which is more systematic and it's also natural. So where can you find this course? So this course, you can find it on the FAO Learning Center. And here you have the link to the FAO e-learning center. You will see that if you arrive on the home page, you have a menu. On the menu, you have courses. Then you have all the list of the courses per themes. And the course on experience capitalization is part of what is called information management and knowledge sharing. And when you click there, you will be able to register. And once you register, you can actually do any course that is available in the e-learning center. This course is possible because many people have been participating, collaborating, and we received funding from the Belgium Development Cooperation. And we have been doing this course in English with these partners and also in French. In French, it's going to be, by the end of September, we should have the course in French. And we are now adapting this course in Russian so that it will be available in Russian, but not this year, it will be for next year. So this gives you an idea of what is experience capitalization. Now, how do you use experience capitalization for good practices? Because and how we are going to use it in this course. So because you are learning on your experience, you will be able to identify if this experience is something which could be qualified as a good practice or a promising practice. So let's look a little bit at this difference. Is it a success story? Is it a good practice? What is the difference? When you're talking about success story, usually you are focusing on what you have done and it's a human story, and you will focus more specifically on the what, because this is done for public relations, for visibility, and so you want to show really the good results. When you're talking about a good practice, the focus will be more on the how and the why. So how have you been able to achieve these kind of activities? And why have you done them in such a way? So that is what you will do when you work on good practice. And also, when you work on good practice, you will actually learn the lessons from the success and the failures. And you will look at what are the key success factors that are needed to be in place in order to be able to replicate or scale up that experience. So experience capitalization goes beyond just a case study. It goes really into the how and the why we have worked this way. So what I would like to share with you now is the definition of what is a good practice and what is a promising practice. So a good practice is not only a practice that is good, but it is a practice that has proven that worked well and that has produced good results, and that can be recommended to become a model. Also, for this practice, it's important that it has been it's a successful experience that has been tested and validated in the broad sense of the term, and that has been repeated and deserves to be shared so that a greater number of people can adopt it. While the promising practice, this practice has demonstrated a certain level of success, but in a single setting, not in different places. It shows the possibility of replication in the same setting, but it has the potential to become a good practice, but you don't have enough research yet for the replication and wider adoption and upscaling. You will find more about this in the document, which link is on the presentation. So what is a good practice? We have given a definition, so now we are going to go through the criteria. So proven and achieved good result is one criteria, but it is also sustainable environmentally, socially, and economically. It's important that it is gender sensitive, and that's why in the template we are also asking a question about gender, about how men and women have been involved in the practice. That it is technically feasible, that it has been part of a participatory process, so it's not someone just alone that has decided that this was a good practice, but it has been shared with others. And it is replicable and adaptable. And then if applicable, this is really for resilience, that this practice can help reducing disaster risk or crisis risk. So how do we document this good practice? So we have developed a template, and you see the puzzle in front of you represent the different aspects that we cover in using the template. What I should say about the template is not something that you have to fill in from the beginning to the end. You're using this to collect the information that you have available, and if you have gaps, it enables you to actually go further and look for more information, to involve more people in order to get the information that is missing. And so it's a useful tool to collect, and then you can start using it for documenting it. But the final product that you will have will actually take elements that you have collected in using the template. And the final product will be different according to the audience and according to what this audience like to have as a support. So if you have people that prefer to have audio, you will use, for example, a radio program. If you think that it's better for your audience to have video, then you could have a video. Some people just need to have a one-page recto verso, then you will do a written document. So according to the audience, you will have different forms of products. So now you have seen in the core, we have adapted the very detailed template that we are using for collecting and documenting, and we have adapted this template to this call, focusing on the use of information and communication technologies for agriculture. This template is the one that we ask you to fill in so that you can submit your proposal, and we should receive it by the 8th of October. The reason is because we are going to have an event in November where we would like to present some of the practices that we have received. So now let's look in practice. How you think that you have something and you would like to share it with us. So how to go about it? So you remember when we say first you need to frame and to plan. So look at if you have a practice that you would like to share, what for, who for, what are you going to focus on, with whom, and when, and how. So that's the first phase. So then you look at the template and you are trying to put as much information as possible in the template, and you are going to reply to this question: what did you do, what were the objectives, with whom have you been working, for how long have you been working, how much time it took, what was the duration, where it took place. So you will start filling in all this. Then what is important, because it is experience capitalization, it's not a success story, we are going to ask you to analyze a little bit so that you can learn the lessons from this. And here in this slide, we are showing some of the methods and the tools that we have in the facilitation section. And some of these methods are the most significant: change, appreciative inquiry, after action review, the SWOT analysis, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats, fishbone diagram to see the cause and the effects, the thinking hat. So we are offering you a few techniques, and you can choose which one you think fits best your experience that you want to document. And then you start writing. And when you start writing, you think about the change you want to promote. And as I said, whether it's the support that you're going to have later, whether it's audio, video, whether it's going to be a poster, a theater play, whatever, you will start writing. So what is important to have in mind when you start writing is to be concise, precise, to be legible and readable, so that people don't get annoyed when they are going to read your document, that is appealing, and you have some rigor in what you have written. So if you have any question, you will be able to actually either directly on the e-agriculture platform put your comments, or you can also write to the info@eagriculture.org. As this call is actually in English and in Russian, we are suggesting that you also copy me, Sophie Treinen @FAO.org for the English, or you write to Botir for the Russian, and you have Botir Dosov email address just here below. Thank you very much, and we look forward to actually reading your experience and good practices, and we will be ready to answer your question if you have any. Thank you very much.